Hey guys, in this video I'm going to talk a little bit about how what you know changes what you perceive. So I'm Daniel Norton, photographer here in New York. I make videos like this about philosophy and technique. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, go ahead and subscribe. So there was really two things that spurred this on. One was my conversation yesterday with my friend Fernando. If you guys missed that, he's a senior video producer at Adorama. It just seems like an understatement for a title, but basically Fernando is the man. He's awesome. So if you guys missed that, go ahead and watch. Super nice guy, plus really talented. In any case, we were talking a bit about how when you're watching things, like he's a filmmaker, when you're watching like movies and stuff, and even when they're about photography or whatever, like because he knows more stuff, when he's watching things, he notices when things are wrong or right or whatever that doesn't make sense or does make sense, or you infer things, which I think is very true. And then also I was driving. I was driving. That's what they call that. Today my words are not coming out, so this should be an interesting one. I was driving and I heard the Dire Straits song "Sultans of Swing," which is, by the way, one of my favorite songs and definitely my favorite Dire Straits song. So I don't know what your favorite Dire Straits song is. If it's not that, you're probably wrong, but it's okay. You can post it in the comments. Anyways, and what's interesting about that song is that basically the narrator, right, is coming into a bar, if you don't know the song, and he's kind of he's watching a band, right, and then he's kind of telling these little backstories of each of the people in the band. And my understanding of this, and I didn't do a lot of Googling, I just I did a quick thing, is that it was inspired because Mark Knopfler, who wrote it, he went into this bar and there was a jazz band playing, and then they was listening to him or whatever, and then at the end they said their names and it was called Sultans of Swing. So he was like, oh, that's cool. But in the song, he's kind of like talking about the background of each of the people, like this guy does this, or that guy has a job, or this guy's really committed. And what I think when I hear it, right, when I think about these things, is how, as a musician and being in a band and traveling and these other things, he could look at a band that he doesn't know, and he could like have, even if he's not accurate, doesn't mean I'm saying he's right, but even though you can look at this thing and you can be like, I know enough people, I know enough things about this industry that this is probably the types of stories that happens within a band. One guy has a regular job and is not committed, one guy is really committed, and maybe one guy's broke, maybe one guy's this, and because that's from the more you know, right? You've been around enough people, you start to see that there are patterns. I mean, this is just the nature of life. So I think that's super interesting, because a lot of times, and I'll say this sometimes, like I can't for the life of me, I can't watch. I mean, plus they're trash. I'm sorry if you like them. Can't watch any kind of reality TV. A main reason, the reason why I can't enjoy it, even if I know it's just stupid trash, is that I know it's so fake. Because I know people who've been on shows, I've been in backgrounds on shows, like I not as a background, but doing stuff, like I just know how fake it is. I know that it is fake. And also, I understand filmmaking enough to understand that when somebody's filming something, this happens a lot on YouTube, where they have these like supposed things, and you're looking at it and you're like, there's no way in hell that the people wouldn't see cameras where they are. There's 5 cameras there filming this. There's no way that these people actually believe that this is a fake thing, or a real thing, I should say. So clearly they're all faking. But that's fine. If most of the people are tricked by it or whatever, and it entertains people, that's awesome. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. In a sense, having a lot of knowledge can kind of ruin things for you, right? Because it's like, I can't enjoy this thing. Like I don't believe, in fact, I know that that's not some random guy sitting at the piano in the mall playing this awesome thing that came out of nowhere, and you happen to be there filming it because 7 other of your videos on your site are the same piano filming and other random people. It's like, come on. Like, we know you're setting it up. Anyways, rant, but not really a rant. But my point here is that and I want to talk about this in a positive way. Like, being able to, when you start to look at things and you start thinking like this, and you're watching a TV show and there's a photo shoot going on, or you're watching a movie, or you're watching you walk by a set and you see people working, and you can see what they're doing, and you're just like, oh, interesting, they have a light over here, they're doing this, oh, that one must be for this, and your brain starts working like that. Well, congratulations, right? You're there. You're one of us, right? This is it, right? Like, a lot of times people don't even realize it. Like, once you're that deep into it, it is you, right? You are the photographer. You are the filmmaker, whether you're doing it professionally right now or not, because you've reached this level where you know so much And then, of course, none of us know everything, and we can all learn more. But you've reached that breaking point where you're not just what Seth loves to call a civilian anymore, right? You are a photographer, or you are a filmmaker, or somebody in production, because you can see through the curtain. And in a sense, it's sad in a sense because you can't enjoy some of the majesty, or you can still enjoy it, but you can't. You're not tricked by it anymore. But at the same time, it's pretty cool. Like you can see, like when we look at pictures, and like I can't tell you the number of times where a client or a person will show us something, and I'll be like, oh well, that was they retouched that, or they did blah blah, and they'll be like, really? How do you know that? Oh, I know. I just know because I've seen enough of it to know, and it's always interesting to me because it's like, oh wow, they don't know that. Like people are fooled by that. They think that's the way things work. That somehow you're able to film with invisible cameras, 5 invisible cameras in this thing, or you're able to do this thing without retouching. So it's really interesting, and I think it's kind of, if you've reached that point and you're starting to see that stuff, then you're there, right? So there you go. Congratulations. Like I said, this is it, right? You no matter how much you might think, oh, I'm still trying to learn, whatever. If you start seeing photo shoots and you start understanding on some level what people are doing or trying to do, or you look at pictures and you can start to understand how they're lighting it just by looking at it, you're there, right? And that's where you want to be. And if you're just starting to get there, that's cool. If you're not there at all, that's also cool. You'll be there eventually, right? But that's how you start to know. Because people will ask me all the time, like, how do I know? Like, well, because your knowledge of photography starts spilling over into your life, where you can see everything around you. You're analyzing the photos without even trying. You're just looking and you're just like, oh, that's cool how they did that reflection, or they did this, or that's this, or it's composite, or retouched, or lit that way, or whatever, whatever it is, and I think it's really cool. So that's why I just thought that today. I was like, it's so interesting to be there, because if I sit down, right, into a club and there's a band playing on the stage, I just hear music, right? I have a decent amount of connection to the music industry because I've shot a lot of musicians, but I don't think of it the way a musician does when they see a band on stage and what they understand about bands and how things work and interactions and how bands work together. And there's actually a great channel. Oh man, I won't remember the name of it. Just type in Wings of Pegasus, that's the band name. There's this guy, Phil. Most of his videos are called like British Guitarist Looks At, and they're amazing. It's because this guy, right, is he's been a guitarist for a long time. He's also apparently a music teacher too. And he'll go through and he'll watch, these old performances. I think they're mostly from the 70s he does. And he'll just talk about them. And the way he talks about it, it's just like, whoa, that's awesome. I just watch Elvis being Elvis, and I'm just like, that's amazing. When he does it, he's like, this is why it's amazing. And I think that's really cool. And, these are the things that I can do in photography and filmmaking, and that you can do as you start to grow and learn and see it. So, yeah, know that that's a sign. Like if you're wondering, like, am I making progress, or what's going on, or am I a photographer? Having any of those, start thinking. When I look at movies, when I look at those things, do I start to pick it apart? Do I start to understand it? When I see something being lit, do I understand on some level how they're doing it? Not necessarily the exact piece of equipment, but the idea behind it. And if so, then you're getting there. That's it, right? One of the things is about understanding lighting and stuff, because people always ask me how they light something. Like, I can take a pretty good educated guess, but I always say I wasn't there. There's a lot of ways to do it, but I could probably replicate it with the skills I have, and ultimately that will be the final goal, right? It's like there's never a final goal, but like that's where you want to end up, right? At the point where you can actually start to put these things together like very steadily. But as soon as you start to notice inconsistencies and things that aren't correct, that's very much the beginning of it. So that was a bit of a ramble, but I was just thinking about that, and I thought, man, you know what? Make a video about this. The woodpeckers are out. It's a beautiful day. I'm gonna go for a hike a little bit now that the sun's going down a little bit, and I'll see you tomorrow.